A trip down the QEW from Toronto to Niagara Falls can feel endless sometimes with the heavy traffic. Now, an Ontario company says they can cut down the nearly 2-hour trip to 30 minutes using a hovercraft. Metro Morning spoke with the president of Hoverlink Ontario about how it would work.
How would this work?
How does what work? The hovercraft itself?
Well, we don't have to get that technical, but how would the service work? Yeah.
The service crosses Lake Ontario in 30 minutes reliably. It removes gridlock, so we call it congestion connectivity without the congestion issues that we so often see on the roadways. How it works is you basically hover above the water, so it's just like being in a train or a plane in terms of level of comfort, and you're leaving from Niagara region and arriving at Billy Bishop Airport within 30 minutes or vice versa. It's connecting two of the largest tourism regions where we see 40 million people visit on a yearly basis and really creating an opportunity to remove about 15 million people off of our roadways in 1 year.
You know where you would be going in Toronto, and that's Billy Bishop Airport. There's
Correct.
a berth that's been established, and you've got a deal worked out. Do you know the Niagara side yet?
Oh, yes, we do. We're actually virtually fully permitted on the Niagara side. We've been doing a lot of work. We've been at this for several years. Our port there is on the Welland Canal entranceway on the western spit. We have 18 acres of greenfield development. So we have everything sorted, site plans, environmental reviews done on that side of the lake.
So if people wanted to come into the city who live down there right now, that maybe they work 3, 4, 5 days a week here, they're probably getting on the GO train at 6:30 in the morning out of Niagara. How would this work? How would this service be different?
So we have shuttle buses on either side that people will have included within their fare payment. And what's critical about that is it gets you to your last mile, right? So people can hop on Niagara Regional Transit, utilize their fare payment there, and we've chosen purposefully a fare payment system that also integrates with interregional systems like Presto and also Niagara Regional Transit's Masabi. So the key here is making it easy and simple. They'd arrive at Billy Bishop Airport, they'd utilize the tunnel to come out and then either walk or take existing transit that's already there. The key is getting people out of their cars. We can remove 9,000 cars off of the highway per day at maximum capacity. So that's 33 kilometers parked bumper to bumper.
Okay. Some people are going to hear this and go, okay, I've heard versions of this before, and they'll think back to the fast ferry between Toronto and Rochester. It lasted 2 seasons. Neither of those seasons went particularly well, and then the whole thing basically went belly up. Why is this different?
So there's two main reasons why previous lake attempts have failed. One is craft competency, and the other one is poor business planning, simply. That was predicated on cargo shipments initially, and what had happened with that particular craft is they really didn't provide the time value proposition to truckers, and they didn't really have a better version in terms of environmental proposition like a hovercraft does. So they actually burned about 6,000 liters of fuel while they were loading up cargo into that craft. That's one of the key reasons why that failed. In addition, not many people from Toronto are dying to go to Rochester. Everybody wants to come to Toronto. Everybody wants to see Niagara Falls when they visit Ontario.
Now, here in the GTA, the Catholic community, of course, was watching with anticipation for that white smoke to appear. Our Dale Manukduk is outside St. Mike's Cathedral in Toronto. And Dale, how are Catholics here at home receiving this news?
Yeah, Kel, the 5:30 Mass just got out here at St. Mike's. We know that there's about 1.6 million practicing Catholics in the Archdiocese of Toronto, which encompasses all of the GTA going as far north as Georgian Bay. About 40% of those people are right here in the city of Toronto. So we caught up with a few parishioners, a very emotional day, an important one, and a spiritual one.
I was checking my phone. I couldn't stop my tears when I saw the white smoke. So I'm very glad.
Hopefully can provide a little bit of a different side of an American voice than we're used to seeing in the news lately.
Whatever comes, it's what God has chosen. It's God, and it's God. We have to just thank God.
Now, about 2 hours earlier, Mayor Olivia Chow posting to social media a big congratulations to Pope Leo XIV, saying that this is a time of celebration and commitment to building a better world. The Toronto Catholic District School Board also posting its congratulations, saying that it's praying for Pope Leo as he begins his mission to unite all cultures through faith, peace, and charity. We also got to catch up with Father Frank Bertelli of St. Mike's. He said he had no idea who Cardinal Robert Prevost was before today. So he was watching earlier with some other priests in the church. Have a listen.
I feel good. It's like meeting somebody you didn't know you were related to. Oh, it's like having a new father, somebody that for us to find out who he is, just like the world, find out his personality, and find out what his kind of his priorities are going to be.
Father Portelli notes that Pope Leo referenced Pope Francis in his remarks, something that he didn't have to do. So he's optimistic that that signals a continuation of Francis's legacy. But Reid Lachlan, an associate professor from the University of Toronto in Christianity and Culture, says that nothing is certain in terms of how Leo will lead. He was also incredibly surprised that an American was chosen.
The U.S. Catholic Church, by the standards of global Catholicism, is an extremely wealthy church, an extremely powerful church. And so I think that the received wisdom was always that the Pope should be a counterweight to that. And so it would be unwise to choose an American Pope, somebody who was too invested in the U.S. But people said about Prevost that as Americans go, he's the least American.
Lachlan says that Pope Leo will have a lot of challenges in front of him as he begins his papacy, including the terrible situation that the Vatican finds itself in financially, as well as its ability to address sexual abuse, something that Lachlan says the 3 previous popes did a very bad job at addressing. We'll send it back to you.
All right, thanks so much for this, Dale. Dale Manuktuk reporting from St. Mike's Cathedral tonight.
Listen, Madam Speaker, I don't know why it is that the NDP and the Toronto District School Board are so afraid of an audit happening of where money is being spent in the school board.
Education Minister Paul Calandra defending Ontario's deep dive into the books of 3 school boards. A week ahead of the provincial budget, opposition politicians accused the government of underfunding schools. But the minister says he ordered the audits last month because money is being spent on the wrong priorities.
I don't understand why they're so afraid, because presumably their numbers are so firm that the investigation will find that what they've been talking about is accurate, right? That could be the result of this. I suspect what will be found is that money is not being put into the classroom for classroom education as it should be.
Spending at the TDSB, Toronto Catholic, and Ottawa Carleton school boards are all under the microscope. The province has vowed in recent weeks to crack down on school boards' spending following scandals over lavish travel at boards in London and Brantford. But NDP leader Marit Stiles, who is a former TDSB trustee herself, says the Tories have chronically underfunded schools. And this year, that could mean the loss of music programs, school pools, and outdoor education.
This government, is forcing boards to make decisions every single day that impact our kids. They're the ones who are feeling it.
Liberal House Leader John Fraser pressed the government on the drop in per-student funding, a figure the PCs dispute.
When adjusted for inflation, Ontario is spending about $1,500 less per student than we did in 2018. So my question to the Premier is, does he really think that spending $1,500 per student less every year is good for their education?
The exchanges at Queen's Park come a day after TDSB trustees called on the government to pay its fair share of education funding. Those trustees say lower per-student funding, rising staffing costs, and a growing state of good repair backlog all hurt the board's ability to balance its $3 billion operating budget and have led to a $58 million deficit.
We know when they do the work, they will find the same things we've been finding, that there's no more place to cut.
The TDSB has not finalized those budget cuts and is still hoping for further support from the province. And trustees have asked for a sit-down meeting with the minister. Sean Jeffords, CBC News, Toronto.
This site, next door to the Darlington nuclear plant, will be the new home of Canada's first small modular reactor.
The BWRX 300 reactor.
Touted as the next big thing in nuclear power. Ontario Power Generation will be first in the world to build this particular model. It's designed by the US-based giant GE Hitachi. But provincial government officials say 80% of the project's construction costs will go to Ontario companies.
It's going to help protect workers. It's going to drive economic growth and keep our workforce employed at a time of uncertainty.
The impetus behind the project? Ontario's rising need for more electricity. Over the next 25 years, the province forecasts demand to grow by 70%.
It's a massive amount of power, and as it stands today, we just don't have the supply to meet that demand. If we don't take that strong, decisive action, our future, our economy, there could be really serious repercussions.
Ontario Power Generation intends to build 4 of these small reactors on the site. Together, they would produce enough electricity to supply 1.2 million homes. The total estimated cost, nearly $21 billion.
Obviously, contingencies are built into the plans for the financing. And, you know, this is just the beginning for Ontario in the small modular reactor space.
Preparatory work is well underway on the site. Opponents of nuclear are questioning why the province is plowing ahead.
It simply does not make sense to build new American nuclear reactors here in Ontario when Canadian wind and solar power can keep our lights on at a much, much lower cost.
The reactor design that has been chosen for Darlington is the first design in Canada that's not going to use natural uranium as fuel. It requires enriched uranium, and Canada has no enrichment facilities, right? So this is most likely going to be imported from the United States.
OPG's timetable is to finish construction of the first small reactor by 2029, with it generating electricity in 2030. Mike Crawley, CBC News, Toronto.